On Radio Row at Super Bowl 51 with two-time Super Bowl champion, defensive end, played for the Chiefs, and a two-time Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos, Neil Smith is here. First of all, he's here for the Low T Center. We'll get to that in a moment. Are either one of these defenses as good as any of the units that you played on during your career with the Chiefs and the Broncos?
Are you talking about the two teams today? No, this week? I think so. I think that defense, it speaks for itself. It wins championships game. And I think that, with both of these high-power offenses that's playing this week, I think one of the two teams, whatever defense going to show up is going to be the one that's going to win the football game. And it's always like that. For some reason, I think that, defense is going to play a little part of it. Was this, a series that you got to stop someone on the last play of the game. I mean, interception, as you know, how New England did it on one of their victories in the Super Bowl down at the 1-yard line. It's always something the defense always plays a part of it. And I think that, with these two high offenses, team is going to be, they got to play defense. Somebody got to win. But the best defense is going to win the football game, I believe.
Best offense you played against?
The best offense I've ever played against is probably, I would say, the Rams offense back in their, their turf day. They call them with Marshall Faulk and I think the
greatest show on turf.
Yeah, the greatest show on turf. The greatest show on turf was one of the teams that we played. I'm like, man, they really got a great offense, and they went up and down the field. Now I would hate to play, against the Joe Montana days when they had a great offenses. And they just went up and down field. They just mantled people, and they always, find a way to throw a defense off. But that's some of the memories I could remember.
We're a Texas station. We cover the Cowboys. Talk about, if you would, what the Cowboys are trying to do right now with Elliott and that big offensive line, kind of grind teams down. Is that kind of throwback football in your opinion?
Well, now you're talking my type of football, because I'm one of the biggest Dallas fans around, man. Always been since a kid, and that's my team. I enjoy looking at the Dallas Cowboys. I think that, Jerry's put it in the right spot. I think he put, his quarterback, his young quarterback that's going to be a future quarterback, in a position that he's going to have an offensive line that's pretty good, going to be good for a long time. I just think that they went through a little growing pains being young, and being in that situation. Next time that they ever get back to that situation, I believe for sure that they will win the football game. And that's just a part of, growing up, in his fraternity is that, you're going to always have people not as good as you, but on that given day, if you're not ready, then you can actually be, you can actually be taking advantage of them, and that's what happened to them this year.
Playing against those 90s Cowboys teams with that big offensive line, does it remind you of that?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. I mean, they was always the best offensive line in football. I keep telling everybody, I think that, I don't know why Eric Williams is not in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the right tackles that, he handled me really well. I mean, me and him, we battled. He's a great player. I mean, they had Tournay. They had a beast of a line there. I mean, and Emmy just got behind him, and he just sit back there. You couldn't see him, because he was so short. But the next thing you know, he'll pop out there and roll. I think Emmy could tell you, man, he had the greatest, career behind one of the best group of guys that ever was. And if Dallas can get back to that in them days, they're going to be going for a long time.
You had a great career too, but those two Super Bowls, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's special, man. I come to these events and I sit down and I look, and you kind of put yourself in the perspective where these guys are at mentally right now going into the football game, and how they how they feel as far as once they get into into the couple of days before the game, and where their mindset, and you got to be focused on football. It's just like, you see the kids, you see the wives, and you see all you just can't get caught up in it. It's just, you got to be tuned in, because this is one big game that you're going to play, and I always tell people, that ever played that game, run into guys, it's the most fastest football game I've ever played in my life. And I say that because the clock don't look like it ever stops. It just, and I don't clock watch when I was playing. But it'd be so like once we got to halftime, it was almost over, and I was like, next thing you know, they was bringing out the confetti and throwing it on us. So it was pretty good.
19 years. Very few guys that I've interviewed have a rule named after them. Tell people what the Neil Smith rule is in the National Football League.
The Neil Smith rule should be still in existence. It should never even be a Neil Smith rule. Actually, it was a rule that came about. In Kansas City back in the 90s was one of the toughest spots to play. It was loud, and the crowd would always get into it. And we had good defense back then. And I remember one time I was getting ready to jump the snap count, and I kind of like rolled up on my toes like I was getting ready to go, and the offensive lineman jumped. And I say, wow. I'm like, did he just do that? I'm like, and they gave him a penalty for that? I'm like, cool. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it next time. And
that's free money right there.
I just took it, and every advantage that I had, as far as a player, I took advantage of it. And I've always was one of the guys that's actually, studied a lot, know the opponent, and then, just went out and played it. And that was one of the things that I got, and I put in my book. I hate third and short. So it's hard to get 7 yards or 5 to 10 yards on third down than it is, getting third and short. So basically, I used it. I used it to the full example, and then I kept getting people, and they hated it. Everybody hated it, and they was all talking about it. Then, lo and behold, when I went to Denver, Mr. Pat Bowden stood up to me and said, "I'm going to tell you." He said, "Son, I was on a committee that we put this rule in just because of you, and we named it after you." I didn't even know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he's like, "We're going to stop you flinching." And now you can't even do it on special teams or defense at all. You can't even do it at all. You can't if at a guy. I don't get it because, the offensive linemen, they know the snap count. I don't know your snap count. So this is my advantage. You're taking my advantage away from me, man.
I love that. All right, let's talk about the Low T is one of our sponsors this year. What's it done for you?
Low T Center is real special to me. I met the founder and owner, Mike, about 5 years ago at the Super Bowl in Dallas, and he came up to me and he said he was getting ready to start, this new business, and he had an adventure that he was going to go out into saving guys' lives. And I listened to people. I listened to him very well, and when I came to him, when he came to me, he's like, Neil, he said, I'm starting a Low T Center for Men, and I said, well, here's my card. If you ever need some help, just call me. He called me, and he told me what he was doing and what the Low T Center was all about, and I got into the Low T Center, and I've been a spokesperson for them ever since. But now I'm a member of the Low T Center. I actually go in and get my shots where every 2 weeks. Takes me about 5 minutes to go in and out, and I feels good, man. I was running a little high blood pressure. I was a little overweight, and it just leveled me out, physically. And I just, I tell people all the time. I say, you know what, men, we really got to start taking care of ourselves. When you get to the age of 40, you start losing your testosterone, and this is just not for the bed. It's just not for the bed. It's for your health, and changing lives. And that's what the Low T Center is doing. It's changing lives, man. And I feel blessed to have the mouthpiece to say that it changed my life.
Who wins Sunday?
I think Tom Brady's going to put his critics, to sleep. But then, you know what? I'm going outside the box. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I'm going to go with Atlanta outscoring them. And it's going to be tough, but I think they can do it.
Good enough. Neil Smith here with us on Radio Row at Super Bowl 51.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.